Okay, so we're over here to section 19, and let me just pull that up for you. Okay, and we're going to use what it calls using the secondary qualifier and green screen keying, and this falls under the heading of advanced color grading for sure. So I'm not so certain I'm going to go in as high detail as he did with all of this stuff. It's pretty more color grady than it is anything else. So I'm just going to show you here what's going on and where we're going to start. So we downloaded some images that we have here, and I think we got a couple of them. Let me go and look at our clips. Uh, Maybe we need a copy of that one. Uh, or it's not going to let me do it. At least not from there. Well, that's fine because it really went into depth on the lesson itself. But we're just going to go over quickly how to use the qualifier, and then there's several versions of the qualifier. There's HSL, which stands for hue, saturation, and luminance, and then there's an RGB qualifier that works pretty good too. There's an luminance qualifier. And then there's a 3D qualifier, which I'm not quite sure how all those work yet, but we will at least touch base on all of them here. So the lesson was to isolate the green from this out and then change it to another color. And the color what they've done is they've taken all this green in here and they had changed it to kind of an autumn color, like the September color that grass would turn. So let's notice what we have here. We have a color picker that's going to isolate it, and we have to take that picker and move it around on there. And then we've got a couple of ways that we can look at that picker for what's been highlighted and what's not. You see, I'm clicking on that now. And since nothing's been highlighted, you're not seeing anything. But if it had been grayed out, you would see it. Now, when I click on the black-white thing, it's all white, so nothing's been highlighted. Let's get back out of here. Back to our picture. And what he did was he clicked around through here and came across the shadow and down. And that shows down here this range of the hue, this range of the saturation, and this range of the luminance. So let's come up here to the highlight thing and see what actually has been picked. Let's get okay. So this is what's been selected. Whatever green you see here has been selected, and then when we're going to put our matte on, our highlight black and white, as opposed to just our standard highlight. And then this is kind of like the highlight master switch. When you turn that off, you get all your picture back. When you turn on it gives you the option to look at the highlights in gray of what isn't selected, or the highlights in black and white. The white is what is selected to be changed, the black is not, and then there's some fine tuning that can be done on that. I know this is quite a thing here, so it gets a little bit better in just a second. So once we've done that, we see that this guy over here, there's some green there that needs to get picked. So we can come over here to this picker that's got the plus sign on it, and we can pick that and come over here and click on that, and that took care of some other stuff too. So that gets the green picked that's in the tree there, and wonder what happens if we pick that other stuff. We pick this. I guess it's not going to let us pick it. Okay, so well, let's do that. I think that's as good as we're going to get for picking. Then we got some matte finesse sign here down here that we can go through and get our filter better, our matte filter more finessed, as it were. And looks like there's two passes that we can take at that. There's pass number one that cleans up some of the pre-filter softness of things, and the black and the white and so on and so forth. It's just easier to show you. So let's click on and make everything black and white here. So let's see what our pre-filter looks like. So coming in here, everything's pretty sharp. And that kind of, when I bring that up, it tends to soften things a little bit, make those lines a little bit more. But as always with color, small moves are best. And well, let's go back and look at it. Oops. Go back and look at it, see what's grayed out. Okay. If there be any stars up in the sky here or anything like that, we could look at clearing those up. Again, small moves. All right, let's see what our white looks like. If we can clean that up a little bit, we got some kind of spots and stuff around here, and that one shadow I was talking about over here. Let's see if we can clean some of that up. It looks like we could. I don't know that that's making much difference. I don't think that's making any difference either. The blur radius, I think we're pretty blurred out. We got a pretty good general concept of things. Here we can round it out so it'll blend a little nicer, but that's about that. Uh, there's some options here on under number 2 of more finesse. We can shrink everything. We can grow it a little bit. And let's shrink it and see what it does when we turn the radius down a little bit. It seems to do just that. It just decreases the amount of things that have been covered. Denoise it. We're pretty noiseless as it is now, but just to show you what that looks like. Oh, well, that took a minute to process. That was pretty powerful. All right, so just for time's sake, let's say that's good for now, and come out of this, and come back over here, and let's go over to hue and see what happens when we mess around with the hue here a little bit of things. So here's where we were at 50 or thereabouts. Nice green grass. And let's just trim it up to about 61 or 2. And so there's a touch of green left in a couple of places. Not much, but we definitely got that autumn look out of it. Okay, and so let's remember this number, hue of 62. I don't see a lot of green in here really, other than what looks kind of summer or kind of fall-esque. So let's try a different form of this. Let's click on color. Let's go to reset, reset all grades and nodes, and we're back here at our lovely green field, probably in the springtime, since it looks like this tree's still got some leaves to come in. And we're going to come back to our eyedropper and our qualifier. And our next qualifier over here is RGB. Boom. So this is going to sample it differently. So let's come over here, and we're going to take our picker and we're going to pick one spot instead of moving it around like we did last time. We're going to pick this one spot, and then it's going to come up with, as we look down it, in the RGB screen here, and I'm going to put this just for the computer only. Excuse me, I didn't mean to advertise you there. And so let's come up here and pick this green right here next to this tree. And then that immediately brought up the ranges of each red, green, blue of each primary spot, and we can soften this or lighten these a little bit on either side here, high and low. Based on the lesson, though, it's not going to do much. So let's look at and see what it really did here, and that is a much higher grade selection showing our greens. Let's see if we can soften that up or if we get anything better out of that. I'm going to say no. Wonder what happens if we added something. Very interesting. So when I added that, that brought on something very, very interesting. Let's look at that under the black and white and see what there is to be finessed there. So in the pre-filter, I don't know, that's pretty stark there. I might tone it down a little bit. So the black, I don't see a lot of black spots. Maybe we could clean some of the little stuff up, but mostly I think what we're going to want to try and clean up here is the white. So when I bring that white clean up, you see that down here? I'm moving it down on my thumb. Let's see what we can get out of those fields. And that's a nice selection there, I think. If there's any black to clean up, not really. Let's go over and look at our morph and see what that shrink radius does. Maybe just bring it down a touch. And that being said, let's click off of it and let's go back over here to our color wheels. Remember I said 62 on the hue? Let's bring that up to 62 and see how that compares to what we did. I don't think it did as good of a job. Let's see what it does when we bring it up a little bit more. Not very good at all. 62. Let's come back to 50. Let's go back over here and see what we can do to clean that up. Still had a lot of green back there. It wasn't so good. Let's reset this and try that again just for fun. I know that doesn't sound like much fun, but let's just do it anyway. So let's get our main guy out here and get a good sampling of the greens. Small, bigger. Okay. And just for saving time, let's cut out of that. Come over here to this, over to 62 and see what happens. Not great. So apparently there is some finesse to this that I'm not catching here. But not surprising, this part of the class was unbelievably complex. And so I want to try this one more time. Saturation. No, no, no. Color. Reset one more time, and then I promise I'm going to quit it. Yeah, the other one worked much better, and this demonstration worked much better in the class. I can't seem to reproduce it very well, but that's a little bit better anyway. I still got a lot of green down and around in here. Maybe I could go back and add that as a color in that area. That did a little bit. That did a little bit. There's some stuff up there to add. Now that's an interesting technique here, is that I was able to add some of these things along here and have the hue back over here that was set on 62-ish. And come back to it. Yeah. Okay. Well, at best, we'll call that phase one of this section 19. Okay, guys, we'll be back with more of section 19 here in just a minute. Okay, so just for the sport of it, it looks like our last thing here is we're going to use our secondary qualifier in the hue, saturation, luminance mode to key out this green screen, and then come over here to the edit page, and we're gonna get her keyed in with the cabin in the background here. I don't know if you can see that. Well, maybe I should put it up where you can see that. So we're gonna get her all green screened out, and then we're gonna put her over the cabin here, and it's kind of clunky, so bear with me. Uh, I honestly don't know if I could see doing this another way later, but again, back to all the light stuff here that's been involved with this, the color grading and whatnot, has been far less than I'd hoped for it to be. So let's start with our picker. And if we look in here, we can see that there are some different greens around in here. So let's first kind of maybe draw our basic line. And you'll notice that it keyed her out rather than keying the green out. So let's invert this and come over here to our picker add. And we'll note that those green corners need to go. She's got a little bit of green luminescence around her, so let's get close and see if we can't make that go away. Him too, and his hair. That's not too bad, actually. So let's come over here and turn this black and white and see what more we can get to key out with this. Not bad. So let's go over here to the matte finesse here. It's looking pretty solid here. I think I might want to clean the white up a little bit. Okay. And then come over here and we're going to add a little bit of a shrink to it, just a touch. You see how that, if I move that back and forth wildly, then it kind of gives you an idea of what we're dealing with. We're just trying to get the rest of that green glow that's around them out. And I think that'll probably do it. Let's go back to them and see how they look. Still a little bit of green on them. Feather. Nope. Feather. There we go. Much better. Nope, too much. Control Z. Still seeing a lot of green around. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. That looks a lot less green there with that. Okay, so let's go over here to the edit page and see how. Oh, we got to do this before we can do that. So now that we think we got a lot of the green now, but well, as much messing around as I'm going to do with it anyway, we got to come over here to the main page. We got to give it a right click and say add alpha output, obviously. And then we got to tie our node in from our node to our alpha output over here. Clink. And so that tells it that we're just adding this and that we've keyed out everything else, kind of. I wish I could have done a better job with that, but let's go look at it in the edit page. Ew, very green. Let's do a little bit. Let's do a better job. Let's do a better job. Okay, let's see how that looks. Better. Much better. Much better. We don't have hardly any green hue. I've got a little bit of her hair and his hair a little bit, but good enough for a demonstration. I think that if I were still color correcting this, I might have I might have worked on these shadows a little bit, see if I could have lightened them up, maybe using the gradient filter and raised the raised the blackness, raised the shadows a little bit, lifted those shadows a touch, and maybe color graded that even a little bit better. I don't even know if that's possible at this point in the game. Yeah, let's not think to color grade it at all. Yeah, let's see what that looks like. A little better. Still got a little bit of a green hue on it, but I guess that's going to be kind of it for now. And that's going to cover section 19, playing with the secondary color stuff here. So we changed the field from green to from spring to fall, and we put this nice lady and her kid in with the cabin here. And so we'll be moving on to section 20 here next time around. And thanks for watching.